Welcome to our first visit to Minnesota, the North Star State, situated between the Dakotas and Wisconsin, with the Canadian border to the north. This program focuses on operations through the twin cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, north to the area around Duluth on the shores of Lake Superior, west of Minneapolis to the Canadian Pacific Line between Belgrade and Rockford, and following the Union Pacific Line from the border with Iowa south of St. Paul. Trains along the Mississippi to the southeast of St. Paul and in the northwest of the state in the regions bordering North Dakota will feature in future presentations. Meanwhile, we hope you will enjoy this journey around Minnesota. In the first section of this program, we'll sample trains viewed from vantage points in the twin cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. We begin before sunup with southbound commuter services into Minneapolis at Fridley, before heading southeast to Mounds Boulevard overlooking the Mississippi. Staying with the river, we visit the railroad bridge accessed from Sioux Avenue, before returning to commuter services at the end of the day viewed from St. Anthony Parkway. The Northstar Line 651 departure from Big Lake approaches Fridley Station bound for Target Field Terminus in Minneapolis, propelled by number 512. Number 512 was originally built as Utah Transit Authority number 12 for their frontrunner service, but was leased by Metro Transit to supplement their fleet of 5 locomotives and was renumbered 512. All 6 are Motive Power Incorporated model MP36PH-3C. The North Star commuter rail operates on track owned by BNSF, who run freight between the passenger services. This is the 721 departure from Big Lake to Target Field. The rolling stock is manufactured by Bombardier Transportation. The bi-level coach cars seat about 140, but can carry over 350 when full and standing. We filmed from two vantage points on Mounds Boulevard in St. Paul. The first gave views of yards operated by Burlington Northern and Santa Fe, by Canadian Pacific and by Union Pacific. The second was the well-known view of the city looking across the Mississippi, with St. Paul Downtown Airport to the south. The BNSF yard in the foreground appears to hold only autoracks and grain cars. The CP yard in the distance seems far more busy. EMD model MP15 AC switches numbers 1506 and 1551 still bear their original Milwaukee Road livery worn before joining Soo Line, which is now a subsidiary of Canadian Pacific. CSX numbers 5357, 5281 and 7678 pause their journey hauling a unit grain train. As a BNSF manifest departs in the foreground, the CP maintenance facility is conducting a clag test, attempting to obscure the Union Pacific yard curving away to the right of this view. Another pair of MP15 ACs, numbers 1543 and 1547, are switching while autoracks arrive, powered by CP General Electric AC44CW locos, numbers 9758 and 9522. This is the view from the west end of Mounds Boulevard. On the opposite side of the river, this GP40-2 is heading towards South Park Yard, skirting the boundary of St. Paul Downtown Airport. And this little chap is switching hoppers. In charge of the southbound Union Pacific manifest are General Motors Electromotive Division ST70M locos numbers 4882, 4616 and 3931. The BNSF manifest we saw departing earlier is now approaching this location. It is headed by C44-9W number 4342 and faded war bonnet C40-8W number 908. Look out for another edition of American Railway dedicated to trains through Minnesota by the banks of the Mississippi, which will feature more trains at this location. Our next location is the bridge near Camden Place, Minneapolis, accessed from Sioux Avenue North. The Iowa, Chicago and Eastern locos are an ST40-2, number 6431, leading, and ST40-3, 6101. The CP loco, 2227, is a rebuilt GP20C Eco. across the river now and into the evening sun on St. Anthony Parkway. The lead locomotive was an Evolution Series 44C4. It has 4 traction motors instead of 6, with the centre axle of each bogie truck unpowered in the A1A wheel arrangement. The last scene in this section will feature the Northstar Line commuter trains once more. The 4:27 evening departure from Target Field to Big Lake is running a few minutes late as it coasts towards its first stop at Fridley. Travelling north from Minneapolis and St. Paul to the shores of Lake Superior, we explore the area between the ports of Duluth and 2 harbours. In Duluth, we'll focus on scenes in the docks and from the spectacular overlook on West Skyline Parkway. Before that, we'll examine the tourist line operations of the North Shore Scenic Railroad that runs from Duluth to 2 harbours. The North Shore Scenic Railroad runs on the lakefront line once owned by Duluth, Mesabi and Iron Range Railway. Approaching from Duluth, there is no direct route into Two Harbours depot, so the tourist trains head north for a short distance before setting back into the depot. Canadian National unloads iron ore taconite hoppers at the jetties to be shipped out across the lake. The North Shore Scenic Railroad is owned and operated by Lake Superior Railroad Museum, housed in the historic Duluth Union Depot. At the head of the tourist train here, at Knife River, is a preserved SD-18, number 193, built in 1960 for the Duluth, Mesabi and Iron Range Railway. The train slows to a crawl to cross the bridge and approach to the grade crossing. With a train approaching from behind, road vehicles to the left and right, and a strange man pointing a big black thing up ahead, this poor chap doesn't know which way to run. The Minnesota Iron Company laid out the town of Two Harbors in 1885, served by the Duluth and Iron Range Railway. This two-story brick depot was built in 1907 and was used as a transfer point for mining supplies, lumber, and of course, passengers. Number 229 on display here is one of 18 Yellowstone 2884 locomotives designed by Mallet and built by Baldwin Locomotive Works between 1941 and 1943 for the Mesabi Road. They were one of the most powerful steam locomotive classes ever built, capable of developing 6,000 horsepower at the drawbar to handle a train load in the region of 18,000 tons. Duluth and Iron Range 260 No. 3 was built in 1883 by Baldwin Locomotive Works. Taconite iron ore pellets are transferred from the rail to ship here. The tourist train's arrival was delayed by the ore train that is now being propelled out onto the jetty, ready for unloading. Once the Canadian National Ore Train had cleared the tracks, the tourist train was able to complete its journey. However, the delay was significant, so the North Shore Scenic Railroad provided road transport to ferry its passengers into the station, so that those wishing to take the return working back to Duluth would have longer to enjoy the sights before departure. We would like to take this opportunity to thank the personnel of the North Shore Scenic Railroad. Seeing our cameramen waiting for the arrival, they came out from the depot to inform them of the reasons for the delay. One of our camera crew attempted to intercept and film the ore train, but unfortunately did not get there in time. The departure procedure is the reverse of the arrival. Having run round the train number 193, we'll propel it north from the depot to the junction, where it will reverse direction to head the train back to Duluth. Back in Duluth, we filmed from Hellberg Drive in the docks area before visiting the scenic overlook on West Skyline Parkway at sundown. This pair of GP38-2s were idling, apparently unattended. Both were built for Soo Line in 1977 and 1981, the older loco having been repainted. Built as GP9 models in 1957, these two continue to serve as rebuilt GP28Ms, switching grain cars. A distant pair of MP15 switchers are busy going about their duties in this spectacular view from the overlook on West Skyline Parkway. For over an hour, they were the only active motive power seen from this vantage point. In the centre of the view, BNSF's yard on Rice's Point seems remarkably quiet. On the far side of the Blackneck Road Bridge lies the city of Superior in Wisconsin, where massive grain elevators flank the bridge. To the left of Rice's Point Yard are two pairs of Canadian Pacific locos. One pair are those GP38-2s we filmed earlier, with one in Sioux Line livery. In the last scene in this section, the switches are close enough to identify as model MP15DC numbers 3701 in Burlington Northern Green and 3702. Our focus turns west from Duluth now to the Canadian National through Proctor and the BNSF line through Carlton, Aitkin and New York Mills. But first we return to the overlook in Duluth at sunup. A train of taconite iron ore pellets has been unloaded overnight in West Duluth, with departure of the empty hoppers delayed by a maintenance of way possession. Believing that the empty hoppers would depart as soon as the maintenance possession was lifted, we positioned one camera on the climb out of West Duluth and the second on Kirkus Street Bridge about half a mile from Proctor Yard. This gave the first camera enough time to get ahead and catch it again at the entrance to the yard. We hope you'll agree that it was worth the 3-hour wait. These hoppers, known as ore jennies, date from the early 1950s, and many retain their Duluth, Mesabi and Iron Range markings. There were 132 ore jennies in this train, assembled in mini-quads, permanently coupled groups of 4 hoppers. The lead and third loco, still wearing their Bessemer and Lake Erie livery, but now absorbed by Canadian National, are rebuilt SD40-3 models. Sandwiched between them, CN number 406 was built for Southern Pacific as an SD45T-2 tunnel motor, with a modified cooling system to provide better engine cooling in long tunnels. It is now rebuilt as an SD40T-3. In total, it took just over 7 minutes for this train to pass our camera on the Kirkus Street Bridge. Leaving Proctor on North 3rd Avenue, near the entrance to the golf course, number 225 is another of the preserved Yellowstone 2884 heavy-haul steam engines built by Baldwin Locomotive Works for DMIR. A change of pace now with this westbound intermodal. pair of SD70 Aces, numbers 9267 and 9378, power east through Aitkin at the head of this loaded coal train, with distributed power at the tail provided by SD70 Mac, number 8880. Our cameras are at opposite ends of the town to witness this westbound BNSF manifest, headed by a pair of Jeep 50s. SD40-2 variants in Burlington Northern Green Power North. Two SD70 Max, ordered by Burlington Northern, also retain their original liveries. As 9713 and 9812 thunder northwards, we switch back to our other camera to pick up the -9 DPU. Canadian Pacific operate the line that enters Minnesota from North Dakota at Fairmount and runs east to Minneapolis. Our journey begins at Belgrade, travelling east towards Minneapolis. Along the way, our cameras are widely separated whenever possible, giving alternative views of the trains. At Rockford, one camera is on the riverbank below the railroad bridge, while the other is at a grade crossing in town. The two AC44 CWs leading are with a Sioux liveried GP38-2. Half an hour later, another eastbound manifest. Now that the eastbounds have passed, the westbound can leave the loop. Note the CEFX lease loco, third in the lash-up. At Paynesville, we positioned one camera on County Highway 34 and the other near the grade crossing on Cross Creek Road. The remarkably still river surface was producing a beautiful reflection until these coots disturbed it, just as our cameraman could hear the approaching throbbing of a westbound train. Evolution Series 44AC number 8896 leads AC 44CW number 8516 in another eastbound manifest. The following morning, one camera is riverside, while the other is by the grade crossing to the east of the bridge, where GP20C Eco and GP38-2 are tied down. Heading east, this petroleum crude oil train is powered by 8746 and 9626. For the last scene in this section, we return to Eden Valley for another view of the manifest in the setting sun. In the final section of this program, we follow the Union Pacific from near the Iowa state border at Glenville northwards to St. Paul. This part of the line did not appear to be heavily utilised. One of the grade crossings at Glenville had suffered a barrier fault, resulting in some cautious progress. At the height of the horsepower race in the mid-90s, GE designed a 6,000 horsepower locomotive, the AC 6000 CW, with the 7 HDL prime mover. Unfortunately, having entered initial service with CSX Transportation and Union Pacific, they experienced mechanical problems including severe vibration that affected the turbochargers. While the problems were investigated, 106 locos were delivered to Union Pacific with the more mature 4400 horsepower 7 FDL engine. Number 7329 is one of those, designated AC 4460 CW by Union Pacific. Ferried in this northbound train, en route to delivery for Metro Transit in the Twin Cities, is this Siemens S70 light rail vehicle. It is believed that up to 109 of these Avanto LRVs have been ordered for the Metro Transit Green Line services and to supplement the Bombardier Flexity Swift LRVs already working the Blue Line. A pair of GP38-2s leave customer sidings and then head north light engine. Number 3890 is a lease loco belonging to Helm Financial Corporation. The lead loco and DPU powering this northbound manifest are Evolution Series 44AC, designated AC45CCTE by Union Pacific. Following the leader, number 3902 is an SD70M. Arriving at South St. Paul, we stationed one camera on Kaposia Landing near the swing bridge across the Mississippi, and the other on the footbridge over Park Junction at the north end of South Park Yard. Approaching the swing bridge, heading toward St. Paul, are a former Southern Pacific GP60, an SD40-2 and an SD70M. The Kaposia Landing recreational area includes an off-leash dog park. Don't be too surprised if large excitable dogs try to make you their friend while you're trying to film trains. More trains in this location will feature in a future program dedicated to railways beside the Mississippi in Minnesota. We hope this has whetted your appetite. In total, this 86-car train took over 7 minutes to cross the bridge. We returned to Mounds Boulevard in St. Paul, hoping to film trains in the light of the setting sun behind the city backdrop. It was over an hour and pretty much dark before a southbound BNSF Bear train came into view. We hope you have enjoyed the range of motive power and varied scenery on this journey exploring Minnesota. Thank you for joining us.